Hey everyone, Laser here. Early in the season, people usually play aggressive decks, so I'm going to play some Tempo Assassin to try and counter those. Tempo Assassin is really good into aggressive decks, so usually a deck that I like to play early on in the season. I'll throw a list in the description down below if you want to check it out. And of course, as I'm going for anti-aggro, I get into Tribunal, so we'll see how this goes. This deck runs a whole buttload of Shackle effects because Shackle is one of the best ways to keep your opponent from interacting with your board, and then runs a whole bunch of nice mid-range stuff as well as Encano, Tascad, Cliff Racers, Lightning Bolts, a whole bunch of reach. So it ends up working pretty well. Kind of iffy starting hand. Gloom Lurker for turn 2 is not the best, but you know, we can make do with it. Oh, interesting. That's not what I expected, but that'll work. And Trader is great. So either just running early drops or actually a mid-range Tribunal, which is actually pretty good. Don't sleep on mid-Tribunal. That doesn't really tell us anything because Harpy goes in every blue deck. I'll just contest that. So I've been playing a ton of Mythgard recently. That game is a lot of fun. I recently made a video on their 2v2 mode. Negation. No surprise there. I should check it out. I think it's a lot of fun. This is one of the better gaming experiences I've had in a while. Let me know if you like that kind of content. I'd love to know if you'd like to see more of that or not. I'll shackle that and then Quartermaster just for some more field lane control. Yep, I've been thinking about trying to go to 2 videos a week, one for Mythgard, one for Elder Scrolls Legends, just because I love both games a lot and I intend on playing both of them a lot. If you have any opinions on it, I'd love to hear it in the comments. If not, it's totally fine too. Probably just, you know, do my thing. Gambler is great, especially after they just got rid of a cast at a time. I'm going to trade the non-lethal so that if they put down a bigger guard, then we still have the lethal to get around it. I can get rid of the dagger. And Gloom Lurker. They don't have any chargers, but at least it's Magicka efficient. There's the 4 Magicka 3/3. That means you can't target them with actions either. That comes in and out of the deck. It's pretty good. Oh, I played right into Ice Storm. That was my bad. Well, they probably don't have a second one, right? If they have a negation that can get taken out. I don't know. Early in the season, I'm not too overly concerned about ranking up all the time. That sucks. That's a bummer. So yeah, you see we run a lot of Shackle effects in this deck. I'm just gonna bank on them not having another Ice Storm, and if they do, we concede. Just try and start pushing face damage because that's kind of what we want to do with this deck. Regulator, the Ingenious, is in fact control. I was curious. The early drops did a pretty good job of hiding what it is he was doing. These both go in a lot of different archetypes. But control is indeed the play. Sure, you can go ahead and Harpy. Gambler is a great draw. Let's start with this. Figure that out and try and get some draws. Endozoa is the one who kind of started Tempo Assassin back in the days of 2018, and one of the things he mentioned when I asked him about it is that this deck is really good at winning matches that it probably has no right winning. It has a lot of reach for the control matchups, has a lot of shackle for the aggro matchups, so there's a lot of ways it can kind of steal wins that it feels like it doesn't really deserve. Giant Snake being one of those great tools for that. Giant Snake probably the best racing tool in the game, in my opinion, other than Prophecies. Iron, please don't pull Ice Storm. Negation's fine. Ooh, juicy. So we're just gonna go face and prey on top decking reach. Iron's good. So we know he has a negation that he didn't use.
Face me, you dog.
So there's like some sort of argument to be made for trading here, but at this point we kind of just have to hope that we can get there. Maybe we can, maybe we can't. Who knows? The Team Rankstar Classic Qualifier for March is coming up in a couple weeks. I'll be casting that with Silverfuse, Lord Costa, and Dead Broke Nerd. Same crew as the last qualifier. Love those guys. They're all great people to work with. Check it out on teamrankstar.com for the announcement. Crap. Or Team Rankstar, twitch.tv/Team Rankstar for the actual event. Should be a good time. I think we lose. We're on some prophecies, not an overly large amount, but some.
The tribunal will
Ah, crap.
come to the people's aid. Behold the tribunal's power.
Yeah, that's not good. If we get like a giant snake, then maybe I'll stick into this game, but I think we're probably done.
They've no move we can't
Uh-huh.
anticipate.
Yeah, this deck is not particularly well suited against control decks. This is why Tempo Assassin tends to be a very, very good deck for tournaments, when you can kind of make a meta call and say, okay, I think there's probably going to be a lot of aggressive decks. I can run Tempo Assassin to counter it. Makes it a little trickier on ladder. I thought it'd be a good meta call, given early season is usually a lot of aggro. It was true when I was playing this before recording, but not for now. No big deal. I'll queue up for one more, see if we can give this another go. Alright, queuing up one last game with Tempo Assassin. Not been going well. Played, I think this is game number 4. We've lost all 3 so far, which is really surprising. We were doing really well with this deck off camera before we started, and then get into a bunch of control decks, which this deck does terribly against. 4th game not on the ring, which this deck really, really utilizes well. That's really a bummer. Fistful of 2-drops. Mortal Trader and Gloom Lurkers work really well together because you can get the Trader out, swing for some damage, and then protect it by giving it guard or cover. That is. Yeah, we're not even gonna bother trying to contest that. Uh-oh. Oh, good. He's back. That's nice. Siege Catapult is super bad for us. This does help our curve. That's super nice. And so far, we are way ahead on racing tools. Mentor's Ring is also useful just as a 3/3 buff. But we can curve Manic Jack with a mutation into Mentor's Ring, which is super, super nice. Imprisoned Skeleton. Okay, so he's Self-Silence Warrior. Got it. So we're actually going to Lesser Ward first to guarantee Ward. And then this guarantees we get a second keyword other than Ward. Ooh, Charge. Nice.
Let's do the fish stick.
So this is a pretty good example of how Tempo Warrior, or Tempo Assassin wants to work. Just put a bunch of stuff down early and hope that they can't answer it. And if they do, we have a lot of evasion tools and ways to protect our things, such as the Lesser Ward and the Gloom Lurker, to keep ourselves from being interacted with too heavily. This deck is race.deck, and this is it doing exactly what it wants to do. Squish is fine. This is what we have Mentor's Ring for. I do like Squish in a Self-Silence Warrior. Self-Silence Warrior runs a lot of stuff that stats are way above curve. So Squish works really well. Second Squish, damn. What's that going on? Okay. So in that case, we can Crown Quartermaster and Queen. This queen gives this another keyword. So it buffs up again. We can trade here. Smack for 6.
Let's do the fist.
Then we have 2 creatures that can ward skip next turn. And if one of these gets answered, Queen is one of the best racing tools in the game, so we have a pretty good shot with this one.
Vile canker blossom.
So we've seen 2 squishes, third one doesn't stop lethal.
Do not fear me, mortal.
Sower's a good answer, but not quite good enough. Good game, buddy.
Let's do the fist.
Did I do a prophecy? Nah, no need.
Must I do everything myself?
Cool, so that's Tempo Assassin doing what it does best, out-tempoing the opponents, racing effectively against other aggro decks. We had a pretty bad run here because we queued into a bunch of decks that this doesn't really do that well against, but early in the season I usually expect there to be a lot of aggressive decks, so this is one that I like to bust out in the beginning of the month. I think over a big enough sample size, it'll probably serve you pretty well. We'll take a quick look at the deck list. There will also be a code for this list down in the description, along with where you can find me on Twitter, on Twitch. You're already on my YouTube, so hopefully you know where to find me there. But here's the list. Things that I might play with. You could argue taking out the Gnarl Rootbenders. Those are kind of an iffy inclusion. That was one that I was using just because I thought it was interesting to try out. I'm not sold on it. I might take it out. The one of Giant Bat is also kind of iffy. I like this because it's a racing tool, and late game it's very good with Mentor's Ring. I again, not entirely sold on it, but it's not bad. I do a 2-2 shift split of Shadow Shift and Mad Dash. The lane change effects are very, very powerful, especially when you're in an evasive deck like Tempo Assassin. I'm not sure if 2 and 2 is the correct split. I was just trying to play around with Mad Dash and use some new cards. I kind of like it so far because this deck is meant to be against other aggressive decks, so a lot of times Mad Dash gets you a huge stat bonus for 2 Magicka, but you can play around with that, see how you like. 2 lesser wards I think is fine. 1 or 3, I'm not sure what the exact number ought to be, but I've found 2 to be a pretty good balance. So yeah, this has been Tempo Assassin, beginning of the month. I think it's well positioned, usually at least over a large enough sample size. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what you thought down in the comments, and until then, I will see you all next time.